DIY.
DIYers, here we are, almost 7 days since the release of the new Clipse album, Let God Sort 'Em Out. And I don't know about you, I don't really care. I'm playing that shit every damn day, every single place I can. I've been, hold on, let me let you know something. I have been reserving extra drives just to listen to the music. I go check the mail on foot. Then I'll be like, I think I forgot mail. And then go drive. Then drive a little bit further around my neighborhood so I can come back home and listen to So Far Is Behind. Every day is something else. That album is so well done. Even the things I said in the review that I had with Justin, I feel differently about. There's not a skip for me on that project. Project is so damn strong. With that said, you know, whenever you have success like they've been having, especially as they've been on this amazing rollout, you know it's not going to come with a little bit of criticism. Fat Joe brings up a common criticism that people have of Pusha T and really the Clipse in general when it comes to their music being very narrow in the topics that they cover. Here's the question. I'm going to give you some thoughts as we go through it. Peep this out.
What they talking about 2025, you know, something, well, I don't know if you know, but something you get criticized for is talking that heavy weight.
Yeah.
2025, right?
Yeah.
So I got guys that be like, your man be talking. I'll be like, yo, I love this shit.
Let me chime in on that. The beautiful thing of coming from where we come from and talking the talk we talk is the challenge is how could he say what he want to say now after having success, having money, getting married, out being a family man, still active, still doing his thing. And when you nice, that's the only challenge. Everybody that keeps saying he's saying the same thing, even fucking listening right.
Right.
And
Hello.
Somebody gonna have to tell the truth, and I'm gonna tell it.
I think mainstream rap got to a place where they overvalued the opinion of every consumer, and every consumer is not an equal opinion. Every consumer has not earned their right for validating a damn thing. Every consumer is not actually of this culture. Some people just have an opinion because it's made available to them because of the Wi-Fi and the internet service provider that they have. Some people have not earned anything. They haven't been hip hop fans long enough. They don't have any kind of respect for the history that came before it. They have no reference to see where things came back to or came from, to contrast or see what the DNA of things are. So with that said, a lot of folks still in the industry have made all kind of backflips and adjustments to appease the opinions of people who are not actually of the culture. But there are people who can run up your stream numbers. There are people who can possibly buy a t-shirt, possibly buy whatever, a concert ticket. And so I think a lot of rappers, I think a lot of labels have mistakenly sat on the side of the customer is always right. When the reality is sometimes a customer be dumb as hell and you be out of business listening to some of these dumb mother. Continue.
they just need something to say because they got a keyboard.
I'll be
with a
honest.
shit
And not only
button.
that, what is everybody else saying?
Yeah,
What is
no,
everybody
hello.
else saying?
I agree with you 1 minute.
I'm sorry if you missed that, but in the midst of them going back and forth, Malice said, not only that, but what is everybody else saying? Dog, I do music reviews of independent artists in a series that I have called Critique My Beats. Anybody who's ever been in these live streams with us can tell you the subject matter of a lot of younger artists is so narrow because not only are their life experiences narrow, but they're copying a copy of a copy of a copy from a more popular artist. A copy of a copy. Here you got a mainstream artist with all kind of listeners and alleged fans sometimes who is following a formula that was established by somebody at their label, by a stat man or stat woman at their label, or by the metrics that are provided from the streaming platforms or the playlisters, the curators. You got those folks making decisions when at one point in time, When you were the artist, you were the leader. You were the leading voice. When you were the musician, when you were the person that prepared the meal, as Mick Jenkins said, the people received what they received. If they didn't like it, they had the right to reject it. But what have you been getting from people? What I've been listening to has sounded like the same flow in different fonts. Pink braids, blonde braids. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes dreads, sometimes not dreads. You feel me? Hot Topic front of the store, Hot Topic back of the store. But it's been the same shit in different fonts. And when you see someone that has been in the game, I mean, we're going to get into more of the details of how long they've been in this game, but for them to have had their last album released in 2009 and still be able to keep their brand as crisp and as fresh, that is an accomplishment in itself. And it's also a statement about keeping the main thing the main thing. I'll let them continue.
100%. I just came off a vacation Saint Tropez. I was writing on the plane, and it just immediately speaks violence. I just don't know. I'm in the nicest place, cobblestone. Shit is beautiful. I jump on the plane. I got 8 hours, and I'm like, when I blow the head off, when I hit, I'm just. It's like, I don't know if people understand. Maybe it's my therapy. Maybe that's what I do. What is it for you?
You know what I liken it to? I liken it to, just having a. First of all, rap has always come from a very real place. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So it's like
for real rap, for people that can rap and
it comes from a very real place. Yeah. So with that being said, and being in it, 23 years, I feel like at this point I liken it to only like somebody who loves mob movies. Or a person, you know what I'm saying? A person that's what they choose to. Like, I don't watch horror. I watch A&E. It's scarier. I believe it. You know what I'm saying?
For anybody who was saying, like first of all, the analogy that he gave is super dope, because it reminds me also that there's certain directors like Martin Scorsese, there's certain directors like George Lucas who have a very Michael Bay, who give you a very specific style to expect with their movies. It's not that they don't have variety, but that the things that work so well, that's what they get all the funding for. That's what all the energy goes towards. And why would you want to fix something if it's not broken? But when I look at this Clipse album, and I don't have to go through every song, but when I look at this Clipse album, how stupid do you gotta be? Or how disinterested must you be to not realize the diversity and what's being talked about? Not only are you getting these stories that are talking about the tales of the drug culture of the streets and things that are happening here, you get a first song out the gate that is talking about not only the emotions that a man goes through when losing their parents. You go through the emotions of loss, but you also go through the strength that he finds in the midst of that loss. Being able to process those emotions. Hip hop has always traditionally been able to tell stories of pain, but you haven't always heard, how do you process that as a grown man or a grown woman? You get that in a song like that. From songs like So Be It, Ace Trumpets, FICO, Inglorious Bastards, So Far Ahead. You're meeting them where they're still connected to their roots, but then also they're telling you what it's like from the perspective of being on this other end of success. What are some things that are similarities between this time in their life when they were younger and this time in their life as they're in their late 40s and early 50s? What type of things do they value? Is it family? Is it fashion at times? Is it a certain philosophy? There are so many different layers to peel back if you give it a chance, but I feel like that kind of criticism comes from people who listen to the singles, can't really dissect past the first layer of what they're being told, and it's unfortunate for them, but that's their existence.
So it's like I liken my music to that as well. I don't know, man. Listen, you can't please everybody. But listen, 23 years in this, I'm not trying to please nobody.
Hello.
But myself. Like that's what I care about. Like, you know, I know that my taste, my ear, and what it is that I want to hear, that resonates with a certain type of person. That's the type of person I want to talk to. That's the person I like.
Now, remember what I just said about the labels and the artists who were making art that they were hoping that the most amount of people would get to? The fact that fans in 2025, supposed fans, are debating and fighting each other over how much an album has sold, as if that's anybody's business, except for the people who are in charge of the marketing department at the label, employees of the label, and the artists themselves. I do not to this day understand why these numbers are public. Maybe somebody in the industry will give me a good enough explanation because they've tried, and I do not understand it. Because there is no connection between the amount of sales an album has versus the quality. And not to mention, hip hop never needed the validation of Billboard and never needed the validation of sales. But when it happens, it's almost like when you announce it, it's from the perspective of, we told you hip hop was great. Is that what you needed to see? Well, yeah, it can do the numbers too. But that is the greatness of this culture that so many of us have been ingrained in since we were young, right? Have been a part of. But it was never as a validating factor. But now you see people use that as a front-facing argument, and it's unfortunate. But that's the time we're living in.
Person, you know what I'm saying? That I know the person who says that, like who says like, oh, you know, he talked that heavy this and that. Like, man, I'm sure I don't even gel with you anyway.
We don't even like
I know
you.
I know I don't like you. I'm positive I don't like you.
He said the person that say that about their concept, I might even like your stupid ass. Probably don't. So then why do you got so many rappers that create entire marketing plans to try to reach them people? More people doesn't always equate to more sales. More reach doesn't immediately equate to more people who are going to understand what you're saying. If I created an album that is as layered and detailed in storytelling, I really don't want everybody to be a part of this experience. Matter of fact, this high level rap or high level rapping, as Malice says, this is, I don't want your dumb ass sitting here and trying to piece it together into something that is not. You are of less value to this because, first of all, these stories ain't for you. These stories ain't for you. And I think we're dealing with such a narcissistic era of music fans who are really fans of themselves, fans of their lifestyle, fans of their devices, fans of their dopamine. It is challenging for them to understand that there are people like the Clipse, there are human beings, men like the Clipse, who can put out their art and they don't care. They genuinely don't care. That shit ain't popping like the shit I'm listening to. Who cares? So I love the fact that they talking on this. Continue.
We don't like you. Like you're not even my type of dude.
You not, man. So I just, I take it with a grain of salt, but more importantly, I know who my fan is. I don't even call them fans. I call them family. I know who my family is. Like, right. I know who I'm talking to.
And this is what happens, and I keep saying it, but this is what happens when you have made it a mission of yours, and I assume it's been a mission, to create music that is the voice of the voiceless, which has always been what hip-hop is all about. As hip-hop has grown larger and it's got more involved in other demographics, which can be a beautiful thing in the process. You get different perspectives, people telling their story from all over the world. You also get pros and cons of that. And you get folks who come into the culture, come into this household and don't respect the rules or don't respect the people who have lived there before. They just come in and try to establish their own rules because, I don't know, because maybe they think the internet's the culture more than hip hop itself. With that said, though, the numbers are starting to come in, and there's some people who could not wait to trash whatever the numbers were going to be. But I want to give some perspective to this because this shit, to me, I know some people looked at this and was like, man, I thought I was going to, Fam, this shit amazes me. The Clipse, according to NFR Podcast, Let God Sort 'Em Out, is projected to sell 90,000 first week and debut at number 4 on the Billboard charts. Respect to them.
Somebody gonna have to tell the truth, and I'm gonna tell it.
Now, I think the crazy part about that is if it does actually go to number 4 and not higher, ironically, their debut, Lord Willing, also debuted at number 4 in 2002, my friends. Doing that again 23 years later, independently, which you didn't know, if you didn't know, is absolutely ridiculous. That's unheard of. I think people are forgetting how rare it is to have second lives in hip hop. Like, that just doesn't happen. I wanted to give a little perspective, and this is something I posted here on my Twitter that I had to do a little research on to really, really understand the journey that they had. 1997, their debut album with Elektra got shelved. For most rappers that get shelved, they don't get second opportunities to even come back. But somehow, Lord Willing, in 2002, they released an album off of the strength of the single Grindin', and they did 122,000 first week. Now, this is when this is when people are most excited about you, in your debut album. 2006, Hell Have No Fury, they did a 80K. And then, mind you, these are major label collaborations and releases, right? What I believe Star Trek and the major label that they were involved in. Hell Have No Fury, 80K. 2009, Till the Casket Drops, 31K. Now, when you think about ageism in hip hop, when you think about the trajectory that an artist, even no matter if they're a legend or not in hip hop, their trajectory usually looks like you're going to go the opposite direction. Do you see what the hell just happened in 2025? As an independent release, they did 90K independently. Can I also add, because, people, because of the issues that were out there reflected, about the stories that Pusha T shared about Travis Scott, I think what's really interesting about Travis Scott, because he actually outsold the project. I think he has a number 1 album or number 2 album after Justin Bieber, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's 180,000. He did that with a crazy amount of songs on that project, which, if you didn't know, sales are not just hard physical sales. Sales is equated in a very different way with streaming now. And I think the interesting thing about this is that, based upon their demographic, their audience, they're moving a lot of physical. They're moving a lot of vinyls. They were very early in the process with that. They're moving bundles with the boxes of the vinyls. It's a different audience, much more mature audience. But also, they're doing this off of 13 songs. If you wonder why certain artists, I'm not going to say his name, had 30 songs on an album, well, you can run up more streams on a project, and it makes those numbers look a lot crazier first week. It's a tactic. We know how ridiculous streaming is, being paid 0.003, but I want to make sure we have perspective on this because, dog, this is unfucking heard of. And I just said it. I said the type of longevity that you're seeing is inspiring to see. Thank you. Clipse, Pusha T, No Malice, Pharrell. Hip hop is rebalancing. This is absolutely insane. You don't get to take 23 years. You don't get to take, 11, 14, 14. You don't get to take, what is that? What was that? 11, 16. You don't get to take 16, 15 years plus and come back and sell like that independently. That can only happen if the people are truly behind you. In an unrelated request, I like to say, Dear Outcast, I know this might be an impossible tall ask, but hey, Andre, I know this might be asking a bit much, but okay, never mind. Let me just celebrate what we do have. Let me shut up. Let me chill. Ain't no shame in asking. That's what I said, Frank. Ain't no shame in asking, but just because you asked don't mean you gonna get it. I just feel like this is the time period for it right now. The appreciation is high. People are like, look, not only have I been looking for the type of music that I would actually consume, right? It's not, oh, let me go support the legend because they out here again. No, the Clipse are creating music that sounds like they have gotten better with time, that they've been able to preserve the things that so many of us became fans of after such a long career. Do you know how challenging that is to do as a solo artist? Now add the extra layer of, well, I hope that the person I'm in a group with is also on the same page. Then add on top of that the producer and Pharrell that I'm working for. I'm hoping that after all of the movies that he's done, I'm hoping that all of the things that he is doing in terms of Louis Vuitton and his responsibilities there, I hope he still got that sound that made the Clipse a household name. Even after a breakup with the Neptunes, dog, all I see is just miracles all around them. And I can't help but make sure that this channel continues to support everything that they're doing, because to me, it feels like it is a shift that is occurring. I've been talking about it, but it's not a shift where it's getting rid of one thing. I think it's just rebalancing the game, giving us more variety to choose from. And when I say we, I'm talking about the hip hop heads. We have so much great music to choose from. There's so much great music to choose from. We haven't even got a chance to get to this Coast Contra EP that dropped in the midst of all of this stuff. It's so much amazing music to get to. You take your choice, but at least we have balance. At least we're not being force-fed one side and one idea, one matter of fact, let me pull up this tweet that I have. I like to put these tweets out to kind of circulate my thoughts and make sure that I leave them here for these moments that we have. The fact that the Clipse did this with high level raps, I think is beautiful, first and foremost. But this is what I wanted to say. It's refreshing to hear hip hop music again that represents the voice of the voiceless, instead of music that turns our culture into a zoo-like spectacle.
Somebody gonna have to tell the truth, and I'm gonna tell it.
I can think of more than enough artists that have turned this shit into a zoo-like spectacle for people who have no connection to where we come from. They have no interest in understanding. All they want to do is voyeuristically live through the music in a way that is so unnatural, and they have and come with viewpoints that are so inhumane, that lack empathy. And I love that we're getting music that sounds like it's coming from a very authentic place, and for the people who actually appreciate it, and they didn't dumb down nothing in the process. DIYers, those are my thoughts. How you feeling? This shit could have been the 700 album on the Billboard charts. Guess what ain't coming? Guess what I'm not gonna stop playing in the car? Guess what my son ain't gonna stop saying? Hey, Daddy, can you play the Pay sound? DIYers, those are my thoughts. Let me know what you think. DIYers, if you enjoyed this content, make sure that you hit the like button and maybe even consider subscribing. Come on, man. Stop being greedy. Peace.